Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is me once again screaming into the void of the internet. So, I kind of want to just talk about, I guess, the insanity that's going on, around modern, Western freaking countries and crap, dude. Like over the past bit of time, I haven't necessarily been making videos on it, but I've been seeing it. And I just think it's honestly insane the crap that's going on around here. And I'm telling you over and over again, I am happy that I live in America. I'm not going to pretend like America's perfect. I don't freaking suck capitalism dick and stuff like that. I don't pretend like this is a flawless system by any means. And I hate when you say something about capitalism that people automatically assume that you want socialism or communism. Because I've said this before, I'll say it again. There is no ism that is going to save you because human nature as a whole is just a very incredibly flawed thing. You have the introduction of logic and reasoning in human beings, but then you realize that logic and reasoning, for most people, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to try and look out for their own species. They're only going to try and look out for themselves. Self interest is always going to take precedent, and it doesn't even matter if they have like an overabundance of stuff, they're always still going to prioritize themselves. So, hoping that there is some kind of ism that is going to save you is a fool's errand, if you will. But kind of focusing on the point, you know, in America, you see like all this crap with ICE and like they're cracking down on like illegals. And you see how somebody, whereas if you interfere with a cop trying to arrest somebody, you get arrested. That's just normally what happens. But you're seeing over and over again that people are consistently interfering with the arrests of illegals, okay? And they're able to sometimes put a freaking video on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, right? Or Facebook or whatever, showing that they interfered and they don't have any charges. Next thing you know, you've got instances of people, telling somebody who was essentially trying to rob somebody else, they call them an N word, air quotes, a neighbor. And all of a sudden they're trying to get arrested for that. Like, I don't understand how people don't understand this. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We're already under tyranny. We're already under a tyrannical government. And I feel like it kind of reached its apex with COVID. I don't think the world ever really healed, personally, in my opinion, from COVID. Because, in my opinion, the moment where they really saw how far they could push you was COVID. And you realize that most people they just got pancaked. They didn't retaliate. They didn't fight back. It was like, oh, I lost my job? Nah, that's fine. Oh, I have to stay quarantined? Oh, that's fine. Oh, I have to basically get taken away to concentration camps for the quarantined? Oh, that's fine. Oh, gas the unvaccinated? Oh, that's fine. Like, listen, this is not crap that I'm making up. You can go back and look up these articles. They're right there. I'm sure that, sometimes they'll probably try and remove them, but listen, I can pull that crap up, no problem. Heck, I even made a freaking, a collage, if you will, of certain people saying certain things, and I uploaded it on BitChute, not because I'm trying to build an audience on BitChute, but this is like way back in 2020. Okay, I wanted to remember the people, so whenever somebody was trying to tell me that, oh, they never said that, because that's always what happens, I can pull that crap up right there. The same way that a whole bunch of these bastards saying trust the science, right? And then they try to change the law so that you can't get on them if something happened to your family members or something happened to you. Oh, we had to move with the speed of science, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to remember. And you're seeing this in real time. Like I said, all of this crap never recovered. It blows me away that people will talk about how, oh, the Chinese Communist Party and stuff. And I'm like, say what you will, but like, they may have their problems. And my God, do they have their problems. At least over there, like, the freaking immigration crap is not through the roof. You know? And I'm not saying I want to live there by any means, but at least over there, like, they're addressing the fact that, yeah, OnlyFans is Western cancer. They have just openly said that. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't got no freaking problems going on over there, because they still got like freaking bride price scams and divorce scams and stuff like that. So I don't know why the heck they're saying that OnlyFans is Western cancer while they still allow people to just come basically marry for like a week and then divorce and then get half your crap. So I don't know about the cognitive dissonance there, but at the end of the day, I think that just kind of boils down to, you know, obviously they want people to have more kids so that they get more slaves. Let's just be real. All of this boils down to you repopulating so that we get more slaves. That's really all it boils down to. I think so many people are getting so worked up with all this stuff going on that they think that, there's some country out there that's going to like protect them from this, but I don't think they understand that in general, I don't think you can get away with this. I don't think you can get away with this. I don't think you can get away from this. And I'm not misspeaking. The people that are doing this, like whether it's little hat bastards, the freaking government, the freaking cop pigs, and yes, I don't like cops. Don't get it twisted. I know I just talked about ICE and stuff, but I'm no fan of cops. Not at all. No fan of cops. All of these people that are enabling this stuff, they cannot get away with this. People are getting angrier and angrier. Now, do I think that you can hope that eventually people will take action and stuff like that? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not 100% certain. But I do know that there is going to be action in the future. How large is that going to be? I don't necessarily know. I hope that it doesn't take place near me. Not because I'm afraid or anything, but mainly just because, like, it would be some crap, like, right as my life is slowly beginning to improve, that, something like that happens and then everything I work for just gets screwed. Because something that people don't realize is a lot of people are hoping for the collapse, And even part of me does hope for the collapse. But what you don't understand is, let's theoretically say that you do overthrow the government. Okay, you're all revolutionists and stuff like that, and a lot of people are. What are you going to build afterwards? You're so dead set on destroying it, but what are you going to build afterwards? You don't even have an idea what you're going to build. And even if you do, what makes you think everyone's going to agree with that? And if they don't agree, what are you going to do? Are you going to try and force them? Because listen, you're talking all this crap about the government and stuff like that, but I'm telling you, if this happens and stuff like that, if you did overthrow them, how are you going to make sure that everyone is unified? Or are you going to just freely let them leave? That's something that people don't realize, because it ain't easy to run a freaking country. It ain't easy. It ain't easy to just run a freaking city. Or just a town. Like, this stuff is not easy, man. It's not easy by any means. And if you do ask for the collapse and stuff like that, all that's really going to happen is there are going to be tons of people fighting for power. There's going to be tons of people that are going to try and fill those power vacuums. And it is very, very unlikely that they will be the people that you hope would get in those positions. So many people are believing that because someone says something on the internet that they'd be like a good leader, that they'd be able to run a freaking society or something like that. That doesn't mean crap, dude. Listen, I try and educate myself all day, but I don't think for a moment that I'd be a good dad, I'd be a good husband, I'd be a good leader. I know what I am. At the end of the day, despite being able to like look at things and despite some people believing that I'm sharp, fact is I'm not a leader. I'm not a follower, let me make this very clear, but I'm not a leader. I can't lead anybody. I'm not going to lead a family, and I'm sure as crap not going to lead a freaking village. And there are people that can talk better than me, that have a whole bunch of charisma and an ego, but don't think that they'd be a good leader either. A lot of them, that is a grift. They're doing that for money. If they actually had to be in that position, they're going to screw you over. Especially in the conservative space, because holy cow. So many of these guys want to get into the conservative space because them women's, they don't love me, and I just can't stand that their feminism. And listen, I don't like it either. But if you actually think that this cocksucker who's advocating that, yeah, you pay for everything, yeah, you be willing to die for your gal, that he wouldn't throw you in front and make sure that he lives so that he can be the one banging your gal. If you actually think that he wouldn't do that just because he claims that he's a conservative, yeah, you really need a wake-up call. The fact is, all around Western society, whether it's America, whether it's Europe, Germany, Heck, even these Asian countries that are, modernized, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that they're westernized, right? All of this crap is going hell in a handbasket. And I think you really need to stay on your toes because you don't know what the heck's going on, man. Like some of these people that glorify these other countries, like Japan. Oh, Japan's immigration isn't as bad. Now, it's going to get bad. They've already started importing Indonesians, but they have tons and tons of runaways in these Asian countries. Like, you can see it in like some of these tourist videos, because you don't see it in the videos that they put on there. Okay, like most countries try and project a positive image, and I'm not gonna mainly talk about Japan. I'm just saying this for a moment. There are tons of runaway kids in Japan that are just whoring themselves, both boys and girls. They're whoring themselves because they are under so much pressure from their parents, from that society, that they just try and live on the streets. Like, I don't think people understand, like, listen, everywhere, everywhere is dealing with this stuff. It's expensive as crap. There is so much stress on people in general to get by that it's driving them insane. And it's driving them to do stuff that, let's just be honest, is not going to lead them towards any success that they can think long term. It might give you a little bit of immediate success. It's like with all these hoes and stuff like that on OnlyFans. Sure, you might get like some immediate success. Let's just theoretically say you're one of the top earners and you made $500K from OnlyFans. What are you going to do with the $500K? Are you going to invest it? Are you going to live smartly with it? Heck, are you going to retire in another country with it? No. They're going to just go ahead and spend it on luxury bags, spend it on cars. Because listen, let me say it like this, bro. It is still very possible for you to like retire if you're smart, okay? With like 500K and stuff like that. It's just that the way that you do it is going to look very different than the way that, say, a boomer did it, It's going to look very different. The fact of the matter, though, is all of this insanity that you're seeing consistently, dude. All of this insanity are symptoms of the bigger problem. And it's the fact that I think people don't want to admit this, but there is no government that's going to rationally be able to govern any person because they're all governed by people. And people, at the end of the day, are always going to be governed by self-interest and human nature, like I stated in the beginning of the video. And that is never going to result in making sure that people have enough to get by and making sure that people are treated fairly and stuff like that. You like to believe that that's the case. A lot of these people that get into this rabbit hole try and get really far in the race case, and they feel like, well, it's just that we don't have people that look like us. Well, even if you have everyone that looks like you, let's just be real for a moment. Are you going to really say that a conservative who looks like you has your best interest at heart, that would get you to go get killed dying for little hat bastards just because he looks like you? He's your ally? How about a leftoid? You think a leftoid has your best interest at heart just because he looks like you? Don't get too deep down the rabbit hole of the race where you're starting to believe that, okay, if we all look the same, then that solves a heck of a lot of problems. Because listen, let me just be real. Ukrainian and Russia, it's a damn genocide over there. Both of those young men were kidnapped away from their families to go die. For what? And hell, listen, at the end of the day, those Russian girls are still basically going to China for like freaking, I guess, foreign learning classes or whatever the heck they were doing over there. And they're marrying Chinese guys. Those Ukrainian girls, they don't give a rat's arse that those men were dying. They were just happy that they weren't there. They were twerking on rooftops and graves. Those are your women. They look like you. Sure, okay, not much immigration, but look at how they're acting. Don't get too deep down the race pill where you're assuming that if everyone looks like me, then that solves all the problems. It really doesn't. Because my question is, why are they still killing each other? Why are they both obeying bastards that are not fighting? Putin ain't fighting. Zelensky ain't fighting. But he's got y'all fighting. You see what I mean? And at the end of the day, who's gonna enforce those people to kidnap you? Other bastards that look like you. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. At the end of the day, just because you live in a country, if you lived in a country where everyone looks like you, don't think that those bastards aren't gonna just force you. They're gonna do the biddings of the people at the top and force you to do crap you don't want to do, that you know is wrong. They will. And they do. It is what it is. It's human nature at the end of the day. But the reason why I bring this up as a whole is you would think that that supercomputer in the palm of your hand that you may be listening to me talk on right now, that phone, with all of the history available, with all of the knowledge available, you would think that that would expand people's thinking and help them become aware when stuff like this is happening. And instead, it's not. The same person saying that they don't have time to study history, that they don't have time to exercise or improve themselves in any capacity. And I don't mean improving yourself for female validation. I just mean in general. You know, expanding the way you think, expanding the way you see things, expanding your perspective. They'll just say, I don't have time. I don't have time to do that, but I can go out to restaurants and eat like a pig, right? I can wait 30 minutes to eat garbage processed nonsense at a restaurant. I don't have time to study, but I can have time to spend hours a day on the hub. You know? Or game. And listen, I love video games, don't get it twisted, but it's not something that I do every day, all day. Not by any means. You know? I'm not saying this is, oh, I'm so much better than anyone. I don't think I'm better than anyone at all. But I'm saying this because we're in the day and age where I feel like people should be hyper aware. And unfortunately, the people who see things the way that we see things, guys, like no matter how often you might think that this is like being said across the internet, you still have to understand that there are still so many people that are just freaking, they're just dead inside. They just aren't aware of anything. And if you bring it up to them, you're a conspiracy nut job. Even if the evidence comes out the next day, could you believe that happened? I just can't believe that happened. Meanwhile, you're just sitting there, they're like, I literally said this. Some of these people just can't be saved. They can't be. They are just, as the Orwellian book itself said, useful idiots. I don't mean that by an insult. I just mean it like a fact. They can just be told to think whatever they want them to think. They're just a free slate that can be programmed with a bit of media attention, with a bit of social media attention, and they'll think however the heck the goofy gooberment wants them to think. People that see things from a more clear perspective, even if we disagree, we are not common. This is how empires, this is how governments as a whole control people. Information control. They control the way that you see things. They control the way you think. And even if we are allowed to say these things, they know that there aren't enough of us. There aren't enough of us to be reasonable to come to certain conclusions that lead to change. You know? It sucks, but as I always say, it is what it is. And I don't want to necessarily make it a depressing video, but I am also someone that has to always be aware. And I encourage all of you guys to be aware, because being aware, if you know what things are, then you can usually, hopefully, the idea is that you can protect yourself better, you know? And I know that that's easier said than done, especially if you're in some of these other freaking places like freaking Europe. God have mercy on your soul if you are in Europe. Holy cow. But heck, it's not exactly any better here, especially if you're in one of these commie states, bro. If you're in one of these commie states, if you're in Chicago, if you're in New York, if you're in one of these leftoid states, my gosh, man. You may as well be in Europe, you know? So, I kind of want to just say this. Guys, keep your head on out there. You know, keep your head on out there. It is getting wilder and wilder. And I don't pretend like, you know what's out there 100%. It's not safe by any means. But I also don't say that from the standpoint of like, give up and just do nothing. My life is kind of improving, slowly but surely, one step at a time. But I don't pretend for one moment that I don't see what's going on out there. I don't sit around here and go, oh, my life's kind of improving, so all of this other stuff doesn't, like it doesn't matter. Oh, yes, the heck it does. Yes, the heck it does. So I just say this, be careful, guys. Nothing is more important than your life and your health. And it is 100% being targeted with the insanity that's going on out here. So for your own safety, please be careful. Please be careful. Please hang in there. I know a lot of people in this space may think that the most dangerous thing is just the fact that no one loves them and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, when you look at this insanity going on here, trust me, that is far from the most dangerous thing. There are people that just want to hurt you for no freaking reason. Maybe it's just room temp IQ. Maybe it's genetics. I don't know what the heck it is. But there are just insane bastards being let into these countries. And you have to deal with them. You might think you don't have to, but you are the first line of defense in your life. The cops don't mystically instant transmission over there to you and save you. So please keep your heads on swivels and be aware of that stuff. I just want to thank you guys for watching. But for real, guys, be careful out there. And please keep up to date with this stuff, because the last thing I want to hear is y'all getting hurt. Again, thank you for watching. God bless. Keep your head on a swivel out there. And I'll see you in the next one.